Let me introduce the chakra system to you. The chakra system is the way that the Eastern traditions have expressed the energy or illustrated the energy through the human body. According to the Hindu tradition, we have 7 what they would describe as wheels in our energy field. I use the term data bank. I do this because the way I work with these centers is that for me, each one, and I'll explain this to you as I go further and further through this workshop, but each one contains a certain type of information, very specific to areas of our own spiritual maturation. We mature through, think of it as stages of power, and those stages of power are completely aligned to the 7 chakras. Furthermore, I think, when you think of physical anatomy, it's an incredibly defined science. Every single cell has some kind of effect on the whole. Our energetic anatomy system is exactly as specific as is our physical anatomy. So much so that in a reading I've long ago discovered that there are very, very specific patterns to the illnesses that we develop. If we're losing power, if we, for example, develop an illness in our pancreas, a pancreatic disorder from diabetes to pancreatic cancer, this is tracked to issues of the 3rd chakra that deal with responsibility. When people, and now this is responsibility in the extreme, when someone is struggling with feeling that they're responsible for everybody, or the opposite, where they want no responsibility for their lives. The organ in your body that gets stressed the most is your pancreas. Now I can go through almost every organ and show you what chakra center they relate to, but there will be a direct relationship, okay? And the other thing I want to add at this point is your tendency, as I proceed with the rest of the information, is to think if you have a heart illness, that it's simply and always located in the 4th chakra. It must be something in the 4th chakra. That's not the way you read these centers. You read them as an entire group. And what I've realized is that most illness develops from an energy loss below your waist, even a heart disorder. And the reason why it locates in your heart has to be merged with whatever level of physical stress is working with your body at the lower level. For example, you may have a relationship that had just caused you a lot of stress in your life, indeed a heartache. So now you have the combination of your 2nd chakra working with your 4th. And depending upon how that stress works out, that will depend on what organ of the body it will locate itself in, but I can fairly well assure you that it will either choose the heart to influence, or the blood, which is of course through the heart, or some organ in the 2nd chakra, the colon, the sexual organs, the lower back. But this is how that works together. You have to read this as a whole system and not just lock into one chakra and make the assumption that if I have a chronic sore throat, it's only and solely a 5th chakra issue. That is not so. So as we go through the rest of the chakras in this workshop, I want you to think that you are learning a whole system that you have to read with fluency rather than one at a time. Okay? And then there is the point that I want to bring into the illustrate to you, and that's that as energy comes in through the top of your head and you make these, shall we say, investments of energy from your chakras into various parts of your life, you make investments that then come back into your body in the form of what we could call returns on your investments. Every single investment carries a return. So that I want you to image your body as going out into areas of your life. What kind? You have relationships, you have your environment, you can make an investment of 90% of your energy in something you want, a piece of jewelry, a house. I mean, I've seen people lose their health because they want a certain house. Can you imagine that? I mean, maybe it's just me, but I can't imagine that. But anyway, And whatever you invest in has to return. Think of it this way. It simply has to return more than you invested. You've got to earn interest on your investments. That's the way you think from now on. You've got to earn interest on it. If it doesn't pay back to you a positive interest, why would you invest? From now on, just think of yourself as an energetic banker. Why would you invest? And the consequence is, if your investment gets you into debt, you've got to take out a loan. You can either borrow from another person's energy system, which I can promise you is going to blow that friendship right out of the water, or you're going to take a loan from your cell tissues. And you're going to borrow on energy that's been stored in your body in the cell tissue, and you'll start pulling it out. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody who's had the experience of almost aging overnight. Have you ever seen that? Where someone has had such a stressful experience that within 3 or 4 months, they've aged 3 or 4 years. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They've had so many experiences that have cost them at the max, shall we say, of their energy system, that they're taking out fast loans from their body. And their body, consequently, and I want you to take this literally, ages faster. The more energy you keep in present time, the slower you age. The more energy you make in bad investments that return, that get you into, shall we say, energetic debt, the faster you age. And think of how logical that is. It drains. What if you start pulling the energy out of your cell tissue, your face? It's going to start sagging. Your body will start feeling fatigued. You don't have the same energy to keep the life force in you in the same way. Just use logic. Use the metaphor, the analogy, rather, that you are a banker, and that's all there's to it. And from now on, even if someone offers you a thought to invest in, just a thought to invest in. Here's a good thought. Here's a typical thought, like, don't you think the world is going to end as soon as we cross over the year 2000? Or some such popular thought in the marketplace these days. Now you have the option, am I going to finance that thought or am I not? You have choice. And you decide, I will not contribute 1 circuit of my energy into that thought. First of all, you've done the world a great service. But secondly, you've done yourself one as well, because you're not plugging your own energy system into a thought that can only bring back to you negativity and eventually cost you energy because it's not paying off the energy that you've loaned to that thought.